Got your barf bag handy? The Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast is on the air. It's the Medicare podcast only a mother could love. And now, following breadcrumbs through the Medicare forest, Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 5 of Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. I am so happy to be here again. God knows any number of bad things could happen to me during the course of a day or two, and it's been a while since we've been on the air, but we are back again, and I want to pay particular appreciation to my nephew, Drew McMillan, the Canadian announcer. One day he's going to ask me for some money. I'm very hopeful that's going to be a long time in the future. But eventually he's going to want to move to the States. Right now he's living in his mother's basement like all millennials do, I believe. And when he moves to the States, I'm afraid he might wind up living in my basement. So anyway, in addition to Drew McMillan and me, we also have my excellent friend and spiritual guru, Randy Carson. Randy, do I hear liquid?
Oh my gosh, you weren't supposed to hear that, Doug. Was it the clink of ice cubes?
I'm not sure. Ice. It was just liquid, I thought.
Oh,
Niagara Falls.
Oh, I see. Okay, well then I've really given up the whole ghost here because I gave away my secret. But bottom line is, I'm really glad you're back in Arizona, Doug. You've been working from Illinois, and as I was telling you earlier, I think you have really dropped like 10 years in age, and you look much happier now that you've crossed the New Mexico line.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that because, frankly, I despaired of ever coming back here, and I knew that Old Man Winter was going to hit Illinois before I managed to get out of town, but that didn't happen this year. So we flew out before the bad weather, the January Illinois winter weather hit. So I'm pretty happy to be here. I'm very glad to be just about 4 miles from you. And hopefully that makes the quality of our work even better. Only the audience can tell us that for sure, though.
Well, bottom line is I think it will because, I think if nothing else, we're happier. So we're going to go forward with that idea and make it happen.
Well, good. Let's do that. I'm just happy as a clam to be here, and you picked up on that right away. Anyway, we're doing episode 5 here. I think we're going to be doing this even more frequently than once a week. There's so much stuff to talk about with Medicare that we could spend our time doing. And since we try to keep our episodes short, that leaves less time for pontification and more time, well, not more time for goofing around, but we can't seem to stop ourselves when that starts, can we? I made a list the other day of subjects that I would like to clarify and discuss. I discuss all of these subjects in my book, Medicare for the Lazy Man 2020, which is on Amazon right now. In fact, I've mentioned that they took away all of my 58 reviews, almost all of which were 5-star reviews, because I changed the title of the book from Medicare for the Lazy Man 2019 to 2020. That was just enough to make all the reviews go away. So now we're starting from scratch. We have 2 5-star reviews. I'm hoping some of the people that buy the book and read it and enjoy it will go back and review it on Amazon. It looked like you were going to say something there, Randy. Am I wrong? No, you're trying to get the glass of Pepsi around the microphone.
I was trying to wet my whistle with a little bit of Pepsi there, Doug.
All righty. I used to be a Coke guy, and when the word Pepsi just used to drive me insane, and then I went out and bought Pepsi stock. Now I'm happy either way.
Well, obviously you've never spent any dramatic time in Atlanta.
Well, that's the home of Coca-Cola. You mentioned Pepsi.
Oh, there. Yeah. If you talk about Pepsi in Atlanta, Georgia, you are pretty well a persona non grata.
Well, where does Pepsi come from? Is that Kansas or someplace?
Well, there's a lot of different bottling plants. I'm not sure where Pepsi actually was born.
Where it was invented. I
don't really know. I think it was in Pepsi, Kentucky. I'm not sure.
Well, I came from a family of Southerners, and Coca-Cola was all we drank. Anyway, so I was about to say that with all the Medicare stuff that we could be talking about, I made a short list of the subjects that I'm hoping that we'll address coming down the pike, in future episodes. Some of these would include the misconceptions that people have with the change from and the availability of Medicare Supplements Plan F and High Deductible F to the Medicare Supplement Plan G and the brand new High Deductible G. A lot of people are confused by that. They think F is going away, but that's not true. So that's one thing I want to address in the future. Another thing is my book encourages people to skip seminars. Don't go if you're invited to a seminar by some insurance agent who wants to get you into a room and try to sell you something that may or may not be in your best interests. And I have a letter from one of our listeners who, it's just a heartwarming story about how she went to a seminar, and she was fortunate not to have any bullets in her pistol because she said she might have blown her head off before they let her out of the room. But that's a story for another episode. I want to also discuss sources of unbiased information. Nobody's going to read my book and then say, I'm going to do everything Doug says. But what they can do is use the things I have listed to double check on what I'm saying to verify my facts so that they know that what they're doing is the product of rational thinking and conclusions that are based on fact rather than salesmen pitching you on products that are, once again, perhaps not in your best interests. I have a way for you as the listener, as the Medicare participant, to pick your own drug plan, the least expensive of all drug plans. You can sit down at your computer with a drink of your choice, and before that drink is finished, you will know exactly which drug plan to apply for the following year. And then you can push a button and apply for that online. You won't even have to deal with any insurance dopes like me. And believe me, there are a lot of insurance dopes like me out there. So I think that's going to be a valuable piece of information for a future episode. One biggie is Medicare supplement plans versus Medicare Advantage plans. Which are best? I have a definite opinion, and I want to discuss that in greater detail. So that's certainly a subject that we can address at some length. I may have to break that into a couple of different episodes because that's a real biggie. I told you in an earlier episode that the two big decisions are when to have your Medicare go into force and which plan to supplement Medicare is the best one for you to go with. Well, this is number two of those two things. Additionally, competing Medicare podcasts. I would like to eventually just do a little rundown of the other Medicare podcasts that are available to the listener. If you stumble onto this one, you may decide that you should be listening to other viewpoints. And when you do, I think I can enlighten you as to which ones are the most humorous and which ones might be the biggest waste of time. And there's one in particular that is very, very good that I actually am using as a template for our podcast. So that'll be a subject for another episode. My favorite Medicare supplement plan starts with two words: high deductible. If you're old enough to buy High Deductible Plan F, or if you're a youngster and you can only get High Deductible Plan G, those are the best Medicare supplements, most bang for the buck for almost everybody. And I want to discuss those in greater detail. Oh, I mentioned enrollment timing. That's on my list farther down. I put it on the list twice. Part A and Part B. When should you enroll in Part A and when should you enroll in Part B? That's always an interesting thing because new people, every day, 10,000 new people are starting to think about Medicare. So that can be a subject of enduring interest to the audience. And that's pretty much all I have on my list. I don't eat and breathe Medicare stuff, but I did come up with that list on short notice. So those are the kinds of things we're going to talk about. And I told Randy we're going to pick one of those things at random off the list, but I may have burned up all of our time today. I don't know. What do you think, Randy?
Well, bottom line is I think that was a great intro to our next session, Doug. Ultimately, I think that there probably should be two picks on the list. The experts pick, which would be you, and the Medicare for Dummies pick, which would be me. So ultimately, maybe there's 2 grab bags and we go forward with those.
I don't mind doing that. Now, would we do the dummy or the expert first?
Oh, let's do the dummy first, because that's always the most humorous one.
All right. Well, now let's pretend that we're doing one of those episodes right now.
All right.
What would you pick, Randy, as your discussion, your topic for discussion?
The thing that has always absolutely been an enigma to me is why the drug plan. You know, where's the drug plan come in? There's a Medicare supplement. There's a drug plan. An A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I don't get it.
Well, I can certainly make that less understandable for you. Would you like me to try right now?
Yes, please do that.
It used to be that when Medicare was enacted, they weren't aware right away that there was going to be such a difference between what the government plan would pay and what people would be expected to pay. So after a few years, this whole Medicare supplement product line came into being. And in the 1980s, I think, is when it really hit its stride. And each insurance company said, well, here's what Medicare pays. Let's develop a product that's reasonably priced, but pays for things that Medicare won't pay. As you and I know, Medicare will not pay for any drugs except for those that are administered while somebody is inpatient. So basically, all outpatient treatment falls under Part B. Part B does not have any provision for prescription drugs. So many of the insurance companies created Medicare supplement plans that included drug benefits, but not all of them did. And then as time went on, a few shysters tried to wreck it for everybody. And this especially happened during the 1990s when they got a hold of people who were not in their full mental capacity. A few shysters started selling multiple plans to people who didn't have the capacity to understand that they didn't need more than one plan, and that they were duplicating benefits. They were writing checks to 20, 30 different insurance companies every month, and these agents were walking away with big-time commissions with very little work. That became a reason for public outcry in the 1990s. And so the government stepped in and they did 2 things. They said, first of all, we are going to standardize Medicare supplement plans so that there will be no further confusion. Well, they succeeded in standardizing, but they did not eliminate confusion. What they did do was they said that no Medicare supplement plans will cover drugs anymore. If you have bought a Medicare supplement plan from an insurance company that has drug benefits, you can keep it, but eventually you're going to die and that plan will go away. So they said no more drugs covered under Medicare supplement plans. And then in 2006, I believe it was, they said, all right, we're going to begin to subsidize the cost of prescription drugs for outpatient types, under people who are not getting benefits in the hospital or in a nursing home. And so I think it was 2006, the PDP, prescription drug plans, came into effect. And what they do is they say, these insurance companies say, okay, we want to sell a plan under the government rules and regulations that will help defray some of the costs of any prescription drugs that you take. So that was a pretty long answer. Did that even come close to answering your question, or?
Oh, absolutely. I think we probably will start winding down for this session, Doug. But we do have one ask, and the ask is that reach out to us. This podcast gives me a whole lot happier and a whole lot more informative and a whole lot more fun if you all reach out to us, because I know we are not going to hit on every question you have, nor will we even intend to. Bottom line is there's a lot of similar questions that we probably will group. But Doug said in the past that if you reach out to him and agree to let him use your name, you will be a future star of the MLM podcast. Okay,
you make me feel guilty because I kind of thought about doing this before. A letter came pouring into our offices the other day, and I thought, okay, this is a fairly short one that I can deal with quickly, and I know Randy wants to wrap this up because he's got other things he wants to go do, probably walking the dogs. But a gentleman named Paul H. wrote me, and he said, I heard about High Deductible Plan G, which is a brand new plan being offered in 2020 for the first time. He said, I went on the government website where it lists all of the Medicare supplement plans available in my zip code, and I couldn't find it. So this gentleman called or wrote in and said, I want to buy High Deductible Plan G because I'm too young to get High Deductible Plan F. Plan G, High Deductible Plan G starts for the first time in 2020 for those youngsters that were born in 1955 and later. So he said, I went to the government site just to find out who sold it in my state, and I can't find anything. What do I do? Does this mean it's not available in my state? His state happens to be Connecticut. And my response was, when in doubt, stay off the government websites and just, Google or Bing or whatever. And what I found was there were two companies selling the product that you're looking for in your zip code. One is Omaha Mutual. I'm not very familiar with them. The other is Humana. I'm very familiar with them. Good, solid company. Either of those would be a good choice for High Deductible Plan G. And he wrote back and said, thank you very much. Oh, and then I put the arm on him for a customer review of my book, and he artfully dodged a response on that. Many people say that I'm going to go do that right now, and some actually do that. This gentleman did not actually say he was going to do it. I hope he does, because he's a very articulate guy. In any event, so that's the answer to that. Don't look on the government website if you want the most up-to-date information. Look, say, ehealthinsurance.com to see what companies have what plans available in your zip code. So I read a letter. That's
You did.
it for that letter today.
You did. Thank you, Doug. So we're going to wrap it up for today. Thank you all for listening to our podcast, because without you, we're wasting our time. As we're going to sign it off, thank you for listening, and I'll turn it over to some final comments from Doug.
Final comment is, buy my book. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next episode.
Thank you.